Rain still to come. It has been declared a wet race and therefore the drivers need their rear lights on. And after yesterday, which was a race dominantly won by Louis Delatraz, he is now closer in the championship to Ukio Sasahara, 11 points between those two drivers. Remember that in this championship everybody has the same sort of car. Everybody has a Tatus single-seater Formula Renault racing car with a 210 brake horsepower 4-cylinder Renault engine in the back, and it is therefore about the way that the best drivers can work with the best teams to get the most out of the combination. Pole position is Louis Delatraz, number 14 for the Josef Kaufmann racing team. And Louis Delatraz will start on the outside of the front of the grid. The 1x1 staggered grid at Silverstone means that pole position is on the outside because that's the racing line, it's where the rubber is. And it is an all Josef Kaufmann front row with Delatraz 14, and there you can see 15 up against the pit wall, second on the grid, Kevin Jurg. But as I say, pole position is on the outside of the track. Louis Delatraz is the pole man. 2 wins to him now. Ukio Sasahara with 1 win to his credit. He will start 4th on the grid. Now, Sasahara raced at Monza and took a win, and we were being told he will only do that meeting within the Northern European Cup because he'll go off and do the Euro Cup, and you can't really do dual programs because of the way the testing regulations work. Well, Sasahara had such a good weekend, he's decided to come back for more, but whether we see him again after this weekend perhaps depends on the result in this race, because Louis Delatraz there is on pole position, and he just blitzed them all yesterday. He was mighty. He had such a good lead at the end of lap 1 that there was nothing anybody else could really do to go near him. Delatraz led by over 3 seconds at the end of the opening lap, for example, and after that, as the pack squabbled behind, he just continued to pull clear. The race here is 25 minutes, so it's not a set number of laps, it is purely time. There's Kevin Jurg, second on the grid. Jurg struggled yesterday, surprisingly. He made 1 place up and then dropped it again, so ended up 8th. But this is a grid from a second qualifying session. It's not your result from race 1 or second best lap time. Qualifying works in 2 segments with a little break of 5 minutes in between. So Kevin Jurg did better in Q2 than Q1, getting himself up to the front of the grid, and he was a race winner last year. So there's no doubting the speed that Kevin Jurg has. As there is Dennis Olsen, who lines up 3rd on the grid for the Manor MP Motorsport team, the Norwegian, who's done a half season of the NEC in the past, full Euro Cup season. And although years ago there used to be lots and lots and lots of national Formula Renault championships, that is now a thing of the past. It's more regionalised. There isn't a British one as such, but quite a few Brits do take part in this, or the Alps series, but the Northern European Cup, the strongest of these regional championships without a doubt. There's Ukio Sasahara, who lines up 4th on the grid. Sasahara, winner at Monza, and finished 2nd yesterday. He had to work pretty hard, actually, to keep at bay Callan O'Keefe, who chased hard early on and then pushed again towards the end of the race, but could never quite get himself close enough to make a move. And O'Keefe is going to line up 5th on this grid. There he is in the car run by the Fortec Motorsports team. The South African, who had a win at Assen last year, is good to go. So it's all Josef Kaufmann at the front, then Manor, then ART Junior team for Sasahara, and Fortec with AVF next on the grid, 6th on the grid, Josef Zaruba in the distinctive bright orange car. So the grid at Silverstone is formed. A wet race it will be. There is Josef Zaruba looking further down on the grid. And the Czech driver, who had a 2nd place at the back end of last year at the Nürburgring, hasn't actually translated that form into podium finishes as yet this year, but yesterday he did battle his way up towards the end of the race and got himself into a scrap for 11th with Enrique Chavez, but then lost out again a lap from home. So just when he thought he was going to be gaining places, he actually lost out right at the very end. So Louis Delatraz, the man on pole position. Harrison Scott, who was a star in the Formula Ford Championship in the UK last year, he is making his Northern European Cup debut. And as we get the 1-minute board shown, the engineers leave the grid. Harrison Scott is another man driving for the AVF team, and another driver part of the BRDC's Young Driver programs, the Rising Stars and the Superstars programs. Now, let's see if we can grab a word with Louis Delatraz on pole position, because OJ Borg is down there, ready to have a quick word.
Louis, it was a win yesterday, you pole again today. You must have high hopes for another win this weekend.
Yeah, I will give my maximum to make it a perfect weekend and win this one as well.
Listen, I have to go. The race is about to start. Good luck.
So, quick word with the pole man and the 1-minute board. Everybody now off the grid. So, good to hear from Louis Delatraz, who messed up at Monza in the first race when on the warming up lap he was slow away, and instead of then starting at the back, he worked his way through the grid, got to the front and was given a drive through for that. But here, no such dramas. The field gets away, and the field now working its way through Copse Corner. So this, not the start of the race, but a chance to get some warmth into the Michelin tyres. I think they're all on slicks, even though, as I've been saying, we've had a little bit of rain this morning. That for the moment has stopped. The track, I think, will be greasy, but when the temperature is in the slicks, they'll be okay. They'll work well enough despite the track conditions. It's certainly not wet enough by any stretch of the imagination to go for wet tyres. So as the cars head through the Beckett's S's, we have 25 of them in the championship here this weekend. And as the cars turn out of the Beckett's S's and onto the Hanger Straight, it's a part of the circuit where overtaking is possible at the very end, because you can get a slipstream down towards Stoke Corner. Yesterday's race flattered to deceive a little bit. We always had a few scraps that were about to. In the end, the best one was way down for about 14th place, where we had Nikita Mazepin and Robin Hansen and Johan de Ruvela and Dries van Tor all squabbling. But you can see how busy they are weaving around to get warmth into the tyres. This grid looks rather different, so I suspect it's going to be a different type of race as well, therefore. Looking down further on that grid, we'd seen Harrison Scott. Dries van Tor is 8th. He's the younger brother of Laurens van Tor from GT fame. 9th is Max de Forny, the son of Didier de Forny, the former GT racer, former Belgian Grand Prix promoter. And then 10th on the grid is where you find Alex Gill. Let's have a look at the grid in full then. We've had Louis Delatraz, who's on pole. His teammate Kevin Jurg is alongside him. 3rd on the grid is where you find Dennis Olsen. Nokia Sasahara will line up 4th. And then 5th and 6th, Callan O'Keefe and Josef Zaruba for Fortec and AVF respectively. 7th is Harrison Scott. Dries van Tor is 8th, also for Josef Kaufmann's team, the bright yellow car in the background of the shot. Max de Forny is 9th, and then it is Alex Gill, the Brit, rounding out the top 10 ahead of Ignacio D'Agosto and Colin Noble, another of the British drivers, starting 12th for MGR. Enrique Chavez and Johan de Ruvela are on row 7 of the grid. They're ahead of Charlie Eastwood and Darius Osqui, who was the best of the rookies yesterday. Osqui went very well in the first race of the weekend for 5th overall. He's ahead of Zachary Clement de Mello and Nikita Mazepin. The 16-year-old is the youngest man on the grid. Luke Chudley is 19th, Ferdinand Habsburg's multicoloured car 20th, ahead of Robin Hansen and Pontus Fredriksson. Then for 23rd, Rahul Raj Meyer, and then to line up alongside him is Bartolomej Miretsky with David Richert at the back of the grid. So the cars in a moment will turn their way through Village, through the loop, and then down towards the start and finish area. So the weaving around that takes place, coming down now to the left-hander of Brooklands. And as soon as they slot into place on the grid, of course, the poleman, Louis Delatraz, will have to sit and wait and hope it doesn't take too long for the back of the grid to join him. So inevitably, when he gets to the last couple of corners, he'll back the pace right off so that everybody bunches up behind. There's no point charging on, getting to the grid, and then all the warmth you've got in the tyres just dissipates while you sit there waiting. Delatraz, whose father, Jean Denny, was a very quick GT racer, did dabble in Formula 1 with no real great success, and perhaps gets the wrong reputation for that. But Jean-Denis Delatraz, his father, here to cheer him on. And Jean-Denis was a quick GT racer around Silverstone in FIA GT Championship days. So the cars now head up towards the grid. I'm just keeping an eye to the windows of the commentary box to see if we've got any more spots of rain falling. But the good news, I think, is no. We should be safe out of all of this, as the field then now works its way into position. And as they do so, then the last driver on that grid is going to be David Richert, who was the slowest in the race yesterday, but we had one retirement. Max de Forny fell off early on in yesterday's race. So he will be hoping for better fortunes today. So through Woodcote they will come, and there is Kevin Jurg, second on the grid. He's on the inside for Copse, but he's a length back on that staggered grid. There for 3rd is Dennis Olsen. Behind him was Callan O'Keefe's Fortec car. So Josef Kaufmann cars at the very front, the one with the greater red paintwork at the front of it. You can see on the inside is Kevin Jurg, and Louis Delatraz looking for 2 out of 2 here. So the green flag showed at the rear of the grid, that 5-second board displayed, and the drivers now look towards the lights which go red. Engine notes rise. Good start by Delatraz then from pole position. Everybody away cleanly as they run down towards Copse Corner for the first time. But Kevin Jurg to the inside line tries to take the advantage, but he can't do it. It's Delatraz from Jurgen Drama in the background. One car has speared off the road. heavily made contact with the barrier there. Another one was involved and I think might just have escaped, but that was quite a big moment there, right at the very start, as two cars touch going down towards Copse Corner. We'll see who it is that's been involved in that in a moment, as the race leaders then work their way through Beckett's, and it looks like Luke Chudley getting out of his car, which is very badly damaged then. And I wonder whether that needs a safety car to get it out of the way. We shall see as Louis Delatraz leads Kevin Jurg onto the hanger straight. We do go safety car straight away. Safety car will be deployed, so any gap that's going to open up is irrelevant because they're all going to bunch up down at the end of Vale. There's the other car that was involved. I think it was Nikita Mazepin. He was involved as well. Yeah, Mazepin it is, getting out of his car. I'm trying to work out why. It all feels strange. It's because it's got a punctured tyre. So the safety car boards are being shown. The yellow flags are waved. The safety car will be deployed, and this will eat into the 25-minute duration that we have. The safety car will pick them up at Brooklands. So it was the incident on the way down towards Copse that has triggered this. There is the safety car. And the Silverstone marshals will be hard at work down at Copse in order to get the circuit cleared while they work towards that zone. So there's lots of weaving going on to try and maintain some warmth into the tyres. And there the marshals will be ready to get the car of Luke Chudley out of the way. Now have a look, it's all towards the back of the grid and it's further down the pit straight really. Suddenly, if you have a look towards the outside of the road, you'll see a car spear off. But in mid-pack, I think there was a bit of wheel banging that initiated all of that. We don't see the incident in the end, but it was towards the rear of the grid where Mazepin and Chudley were. So they are the two that are in strife, and as the cars work their way behind the safety car now through the stadium up towards the end of lap number 1, they will have to very shortly go past the incident zone, and Louis Delatraz, Kevin Jurg the top two, Dennis Olsen running in third place. It's grid order really, with Sasahara fourth at the moment. So the cars come over the timing line. The championship after yesterday's race being led by Sasahara, 11 points up from Delatraz, then Olsen, D'Agusto and Callan O'Keefe. And another chance to have a look. Yes, the cars touch in mid-pack. Again, we lost the start of the shot, but in the end, the outcome you can see being fired off the road. Luke Chudley and Mazepin's car spinning. He gets going again, but then with the damage has to park further around Copse Corner. So there's the snatch vehicle, about to get Luke Chudley's car out of the way. And so rather than try and do all that under waved yellow flags at a localised part of the circuit, a safety car period is the decision. Another chance to try and piece together what happens. It's towards the back, a bit of wheel banging. I think actually Mazepin tagged somebody else, and as he then was spat across the road, he glanced into Luke Chudley's car, but the net result is that poor Luke Chudley came off worse. He's out of the race, and hopefully we might be able to go back to racing this time around. There is the safety car. The lights out zone for Blancpain, certainly, at this event, is when you get up towards Village, so we're a few corners away from that yet. And the safety car has got everybody bunched up behind. You can see all that swooping left and right, trying to keep warm for the tyres, so they've got the temperature there and the grip there ready with which to push when we go back to racing. So the cars head down towards Stoke Corner once more. And as they are about to come down through Vale, the clear-up operation continues down at Copse. So after yesterday, as I say, Sasahara, the championship leader. You can see the damage that's been done to Chudley's car. Louis Delatraz now 11 points adrift. And then third is Dennis Olsen. He's got quite a bit of work to do yet, 21 points away. After Silverstone, 3 races at the Red Bull Ring at a non-Blancpain event, then a brace of races at the Total 24 Hours of Spa at the end of July. Then they go to Assen, and then back with Blancpain for 2 races at the Nürburgring, and the season finale is 3 races at Hockenheim, where it supports the German GT, ADAC GT Championship. So that's the plot as far as Formula Renault's calendar is concerned. Some good venues and some good events as well. 16-year-old Nikita Mazepin hasn't just got punctures, he's got broken suspension as well. I wonder how long it will take for that car to be moved as well, because the snatch vehicle is rather busy sorting out Luke Chudley's car. As soon as that's out of the way, then it can go and sort out Mazepin. There's Dries Van Toor, the younger brother of Lawrence, another of the Joseph Kaufman racing cars, his first season of car racing. He's one of the official Royal Automobile Club of Belgium junior drivers, and therefore carrying Belgian colours on the car. Turning his way up towards Village. Struggled a bit yesterday, actually. He made up some ground, but he lost places very early on, so it was a bit of a damage limitation exercise in the end for Dries Van Toor. So the race leader, Louis Delatraz, came via the Formula BMW Talent Cup a few seasons back, and an experienced Formula Renault racer, now third year in these cars, so really you could argue he ought to be doing the winning. Kevin Jurg behind him, who was 3 times a race winner last year, and a reminder of why the safety car is out. Have a look lower down the order. White car of Nikita Mazepin goes for a gap, and there's a car that moves across the pit wall, just glances Mazepin, and that in turn puts him into Luke Chudley, files him across the road. I wonder from that angle whether it's any clearer. It's certainly one of the cars from the inside of the grid, and then it all kicks off. Chudley, the innocent party, I think, in all of that. But unfortunately, Mazepin and Chudley both eliminated. Safety car through once more. They're not going to get that many racing laps in at this rate, are they? Because it's a long old lap anyway. And under the safety car, they're lapping at pretty much 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Mazepin's car needing to be removed now. As soon as that is done, then we're edging closer to being able to go back to a green flag, maybe even this time around, but even that's not guaranteed, I don't think. But one of the good things about the length of the lap as it is that once they've gone past the incident zone now, there should be lots of time to get that out of the way before the cars come back round once more. The BRSCC, the British Racing and Sports Car Club, working this meeting along with the permanent officials for the individual championships, and so Bernard Cottrell, as the clerk of the course head, along with David Pierre, will be looking at the closed circuit cameras, looking at the TV feed, and advising Werner Eichinger, who is the race director, as to just when the lights ought to go out and when that clear-up operation will be done. I have to say it's pretty much done now, so we shouldn't be far off getting the race back underway. The green and black car you just looked at was out of Bartolomei Mieretsky. There's David Richet, the Canadian, at the back of the grid. And Louis Delatraz leads. I won't give you a gap because it's irrelevant under the safety car. Suffice to know that he's not got too many racing minutes left now. We're going to be probably at about 14 when we go racing, if we even go racing this time, as we hope we will. There is Ferdinand Habsburg, another of the rookie drivers, the Austrian, who was 4th in the Northern European Cup for the 1.6 litre Formula Renault chassis last year, and one of the rookie drivers, as I say, moving into the 2 litre category for 2015. Club Corner much drier than we had it for earlier activity on track today, so as they sprint their way now up towards the right-hander of Club Corner, past the wing in a moment. And of course this the area that's the start and finish line for Formula 1 activity. Cars go through past the wing pits and then up towards Abbey, and there is Nikita Mazepin's car that's just about now out of the way. So it's been a long old operation, this, about 10 minutes or so to retrieve the cars, and hopefully the light will go out shortly on the safety car. When the lights go out, it's the indication to everybody that it will peel in at the end of that lap, and we will go back to racing this time around, all being well, assuming that that snatch vehicle is off the road, and it's just about off the road. After the accident for Jules Bianchi last year in Japan, there's understandable caution of letting racing cars loose when there are snatch vehicles like that still working, still trackside. But it's behind the barrier, and so the lights out. Not yet, they're not. Coming up towards Luffield. Surely we're going to be good to go this time. But the lights are still on, and it's going to be one more lap. So the safety car comes through again, for the sake of a few seconds, we have to go once more behind the safety car. So big frustration from the drivers here. It's going to be a 10-minute race in real terms. We'll have lost more of it behind the safety car, I think. So down towards Copse Corner. The good news is at least now it'll be clear. We hopefully will be able to get racing this time around. Yes, the safety car is in this lap. There is the damaged car park, as it were. And as the field works its way then up towards Maggots and then Beckett's, we do have confirmation that the safety car will peel in this time. So potentially now the pace will quicken to allow the drivers a better opportunity of getting more temperature into the rubber, ready for the restart. And the safety car is in this lap, as you can see on the screen. Safety car will be in this time. There's David Richard at the back of the grid. More vigorous weaving as they come onto the hanger straight. Safety cars often breed safety cars, so now you've got a 10-minute harem-scarum restart, plus everybody bunched up together. What's that going to produce for us, I wonder? Weaving around Robin Hansen towards the rear of the grid. And the pit lane has welcomed the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo grid girls, who are ready for their work in about 20 minutes time once the Formula Renault brigade have finished what they started. So Louis Delatraz is the race leader, such as that lead is, given that all we've really had has been about half a lap of proper racing before they saw the safety car boards and then had to slow right down accordingly. So to Village they come, and if he's on his toes, Kevin Jurg might be able, on the restart, to make a move to think about getting the race lead at Copse Corner. He needs to do it quickly. He can't let Delatraz get away, he can't let the gaps open up either, and he's got to do it pretty much instinctively, because if you sit in the dirty airflow for more than a couple of corners, then you're going to go slower, because your aero is adversely affected. So it means as they come down Wellington Straight now that Kevin Jurg has got to try and absolutely mirror Louis Delatraz, and he cannot get caught out, because on the restart Delatraz, as soon as he accelerates, will try and steal a march, and Jurg has got to go with him, and at the same time try to make sure that Dennis Olsen doesn't come up and have a go at him for second place. So 11.5 minutes we're looking at pretty much for the restart. Delatraz has still got the ball backed up behind him, comes out of Luffield, now he goes, and Kevin Jurg has lost about 2 lengths there, so a good restart by Delatraz as they work their way through Woodcote. It's going to be then 11 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock as they go over the timing line down towards Copse Corner. Finally, we're racing properly, and as they go down to Copse, Dries Van Thor there having to defend, because right up behind him is Max de Forney as they work their way round Copse. Green flags there up at Maggots, and Delatraz is getting away, whereas Jurg has got Dennis Olsen right up behind him now for second place. Those two absolutely nose to tail as they work their way through Beckett's. Fourth, the white car, is that of Bukio Sasahara, and there, look, having a go is de Forney up the inside of Dries Van Thor. Does he go through? Yes, he does, and Van Thor is forced wide now. That enables Ignacio D'Agosto to have a go as well as they come onto the hanger straight. If anything's going to change in the leading gaggle, it'll be for second spot though, because Olsen is right on the tail of Jurg. There he goes to the inside, diving into Stoke Corner just as they went out of shot. Dennis Olsen dived through on the inside line. You're looking there at the battle that we had yesterday again between Zaruba and Chavez, but as they come down towards the end of Vale, Olsen is up into second place. We saw the start of the move but not the end, but the outcome is that he's gained the position. 3 wide lower down the order as they work their way to the end of Vale and through Club, and a spin there. It's one of the AVF cars that has gone round. 21 it is, which means it's Enrique Chavez who's off the road, but thankfully no damage, didn't take anybody with him, and he's back on again. 10 minutes on the clock then, and Louis Delatraz with a good restart. He's getting away now as the cars work their way through the right-hander of Abbey, then through Farm. Car 9, Bukio Sasahara, trying to find a way past Kevin Jurg now. So Jurg, having lost second, having to defend third place, but he's losing, for whatever reason, proper pace. The AVF battle behind is Harrison Scott versus Josef Zaruba, in fairness. So Harrison Scott doing a good job first time out in the Northern European Cup, as Dennis Olsen, having got himself up into second place, has done the absolute best in Sector 1 and Sector 2 now, so he's hunting down Louis Delatraz. Jurg is third still, fourth over the line is Sasahara, fifth is Callan O'Keefe, sixth is Scott, seventh is Zaruba, and then in eighth place now it is Deforney ahead of D'Agusto, and then it is Dries Vanthoor down in 10th place. He's also, in having lost overall places, Vanthoor lost his rookie class lead. Leaders up through Maggots into the Beckett's S's. And as they turn their way through here, look, you can see 24, which is Robin Hansen, trying to make up a place at the expense of Charlie Eastwood, but he goes a little bit wide there. And Ferdinand Habsburg in the Fortec car behind the white and yellow and blue car comes up alongside as they head onto Hanger Straight. 8.5 minutes to go. Habsburg looks to try and go through, and he does go through. And there, with the orange rear wing, Jahan Daruvala challenges Colin Noble as they work their way round Stoke Corner, but Daruvala on the outside line, hung out to dry rather, and so Colin Noble hangs on to 13th place as they go down through Vale. Hansen under attack because right up behind him is Ferdinand Habsburg at the end of Vale. Behind them is the car in the hands of Zachary Clement de Mello. There he is. Meantime, for second and third places, Kevin Jurg is coming back at Dennis Olsen now as they work their way into Village, and Jurg has to get on with this because Sasahara and O'Keefe are not that far behind him either. Nose to tail coming out of Aintree, and Kevin Jurg, having lost pace a lap ago, has suddenly found something, hasn't he? Because he's right back on the tail of Olsen and looking for a way round on the outside down to Brooklands. He's going to have to be really brave to do it there, but if he can stand his ground, he'll have the inside line for the next corner going up into Luffield, which won't happen for him on that line. Olsen has the pace, he secures it. And there is Sasahara, who in turn is still trying to keep at bay the patriotic car of Callan O'Keefe. The South African is fifth, but all this squabbling for second place is enabling Louis Delatraz to escape once more up the road. Through they come, past the pits then. Out of Copse Corner they go, and now the run towards the left-hander up at Maggots, and then towards the Beckett's S's they will run. As they turn their way through, you can see here Dennis Olsen's race, in a sense, compromised. He can't think about going after the leader because he's got to defend now from what's going on behind him, where you've got Jurg, then Sasahara, then O'Keefe. Harrison Scott is sixth, and in seventh place, Josef Zaruba. Eighth is Deforney, ninth is D'Agusto, and then Dries Vanthoor rounds out the top 10 as an effort is made there. Sasahara looks to the inside of Kevin Jurg. Can't do it. Jurg able to fend him off as they work their way around Stowe. Down Vale once more. And O'Keefe at the back of that little group still tries to get up the inside of Ukio Sasahara, as he spent most of yesterday's race doing, but was denied pretty much every opportunity. Through goes Max Deforney, running in 8th place. Delatraz's advantage extending all the time here. There is Josef Zaruba. He's down in 7th place behind Harrison Scott, and if anything, Zaruba is in danger of losing out now to Max Deforney, who has got himself right up onto the tail of him as they work their way underneath the vehicle bridge over the Wellington Straight, down now towards Brooklands. Delatraz, the race leader, is escaping inexorably up the road. For second, third, and then fourth, you've got Olsen, Jurg, and Sasahara, and I would suspect this time that maybe Olsen was just fractionally further ahead. If that certainly were the case, it ain't any more coming out of Luffield, because the gaps have come down, second to third, third to fourth. But up front, Delatraz continues to dominate the race, just as he did yesterday. 5 minutes on the clock, through they go. Dries Vanthoor turns through. He's got himself back up ahead of Ignacio D'Agusto, so good recovery this from Dries Vanthoor. Lost those couple of places earlier on, but he's fighting back nicely. Formula Renault always has been a career development category. Drivers limited to the amount of testing they can do, so they have to learn on track in race mode. D'Agosto versus Darius Oskwi there in the red and white car behind the ART Junior team car. Darius Oskwi heading onto the hanger straight now. Is he close enough to make a move at the end? We'll wait and see, as Jörg has managed to shake off Sasahara once again, and he's a little bit closer to Dennis Olsen. They turn their way down through Vale. Great little scraps all the way through the field. Behind Vantor here, you've got D'Agosto, then Oskwi, and Alex Gill with the blue crash helmet also trying to join this little mix as well as they work their way round Club. There in number 10 is Darius Oskwi. He's another of the rookies moving from Formula Renault Euro Cup and the Alps Series into the Northern European Cup this year, and he's going to go through on the inside, going into Abbey, up on the inside line for 10th place then. Darius Oskwi goes ahead of Ignacio D'Agosto. And not only that, but D'Agosto is now under attack from Alex Gill and Colin Noble. Gill goes through. D'Agosto runs wide. Noble in the black and red car right round the outside up towards the loop. But can he keep it tight enough? Yes, he can. Gets his nose in front. And so Colin Noble takes up the place as they work their way onto Wellington Straight once more. 3.5 minutes are on the clock. It's going to be 2 more laps, isn't it, for the race leader. Louis Delatraz comes towards the timing line now as there Colin Noble is still trying to defend from Ignacio D'Agosto. It's going to drop D'Agosto down to about 13th place. He's lost a whole heap of spots going through the new element of the circuit, introduced in 2010, as the cars now dive down through Copse for 2nd place. The lead gap is 4 seconds, but Olsen from Jörg, from Sasahara, from O'Keefe remains the order behind. The rest of the field files through. Enrico Chavez in 19th place, recovering after his spin, remember, at Club Corner earlier on in the race. So, with a lap time at the moment being just under 2 minutes, there'll be time for 1 more at the end of this, as down towards Stoke Corner goes the dominant Delatraz, but Olsen and Jörg together are still fighting over 2nd place. Dennis Olsen with his brave move up the inside at Stoke Corner a few laps back, hanging on in there, but Kevin Jörg has certainly not given up, and as they drop down towards the end of Vale into Club Corner, Jörg fending off Sasahara and then Callan O'Keefe behind him. They're on the power, they're through the right-hander that brings them through Club, past the wing, and up towards the very fast right-hander of Abbey into the left at Farm. Next, look at the back of this group. You've got the yellow car of Dries Vantor, who's caught back up with his fellow countryman Max de Forney. So there's a battle of the Belgians going on there. As also here, you've got Sasahara on the tail of Kevin Jörg as they work their way towards the loop. And is there going to be a possible opportunity for Sasahara to attack? Yes, there is on the inside, but Jörg just was able to square out of the corner and keep track position ahead of him. He also goes defensive, looks straight away. So Jörg to the inside, Sasahara in what's effectively the middle of the 3 cars, but he's too far back to challenge Olsen. He's going to go to the outside of Jörg as they drop down to Brooklands. Can't find a way through there. And nor can he stay on the outside and therefore challenge on the inside line going up towards the right-hander of Luffield now either. The leader comes through then to start his last lap. Louis Delatraz leads the way. In 2nd place as they go through, it is still Dennis Olsen ahead of Kevin Jörg. And then in 4th place, Okio Sasahara goes through with Callan O'Keefe 5th. 1 more lap to run then as the cars work their way through Copse. Is there a chance for Okio Sasahara to get himself on this last lap onto the podium? That is what he's aiming for. Through the Beckett's S's they come once more. They're starting to drop Callan O'Keefe, but this man has just made Formula Renault look so easy this weekend. Down towards the right-hander at Stoke Corner comes Louis Delatraz once again. He got Olsen 2nd, and then Jörg versus Okio Sasahara. Again, Sasahara close, but not really able to make a move then up on the inside at Stowe. Down through Vale, and he's too far back there by about 2 cars' lengths as well. As they work their way out of Club, the leader is already working his way through Abbey. This is Farm out of the left-hander up towards Village. It's another fast-flowing sequence, and then into this much more complicated part of the circuit, the double apex corners, if you like, of the loop, and then Aintree. Kevin Jörg has not given up against Olsen, has he? Lots of car speed there carried into Village. Can he stay on the back of Olsen and then challenge on the run down Wellington Straight? He's certainly going to have a go. Here they come now. The run towards the braking zone. In a moment, they'll turn their way into the left-hander, but Delatraz absolutely out on his own. A fantastic weekend for him. This great news in the championship, and he's going to reduce that deficit against Sasahara yet further. Second and third, though, Dennis Olsen ahead of Kevin Jurg as they work their way now up towards the right-hander of Luffield. Checkered flag for Louis Delatraz. 2 out of 2 at Silverstone. The Swiss driver is on a roll. He wins here by a massive margin in a one-make championship, over 5 seconds for Dennis Olsen, taking second, his best of the year, and then third, Kevin Jurg ahead of Ukio Sasahara, Callan O'Keefe, and Harrison Scott rounds out the top 6. 7th goes to Josef Zaruba, 8th Max Deforny, the best of the rookies, 9th to Dries Van Tor, and 10th Darius Oskwi. So Louis Delatraz it is who comes through as the race winner. Kevin Jurg overtakes him on the slowing down lap, but Delatraz is very happy with his weekend's work. 2 wins, 2 poles as well, all good for him as far as the championship is concerned. And Louis Delatraz will go to the Red Bull Ring now in very confident mood. And whether or not Ukio Sasahara continues in the championship remains to be seen. He wasn't going to do these races, but the results at Monza rather forced his hand now that he's been comprehensively beaten in this race down to 4th place. He was 2nd yesterday, but 4th today, a far worse result. It may affect the mindset for the rest of the year, and he may elect to concentrate purely on the Euro Cup. He may forsake that and do this purely instead. The way the regulations work for the different championships has an impact on testing, and therefore doing races at other circuits in other championships is all constituting as testing. And so it is possible, by doing races in other championships, to exceed the amount of testing that you are able to do, and therefore you can't continue to race in a given championship. It all sounds a bit complicated, but it does kind of work out well, partly to reduce costs for drivers, and also partly to make sure that people aren't doing too much mileage and stealing an advantage that way. Now, race results after 10 laps, quite a few behind the safety car. Louis Delatraz, the winner from Dennis Olsen, and then Kevin Jurg third ahead of Ukio Sasahara and Callan O'Keefe. Harrison Scott 6th ahead of Josef Zaruba, then Max Deforny, Dries Van Tor, and Darius Oskwi rounding out the top 10 ahead of Alex Gill, and then Colin Noble in 12th spot. 13th was where Ignacio D'Agosto finished ahead of Charlie Eastwood, and then Jahan Doruvela in the end, with Ferdinand Habsburg 16th ahead of Chavez, Hansen, De Mello, Meyer, Mielecki, Friedrichsen and David Richert. And of course we lost those 2 cars early on, the Nikita Mazepin and Luke Chudley incident that therefore necessitated a rather lengthy safety car period. So here at Silverstone it is a Swiss driver who takes the honours, and very shortly we'll have a chance to perhaps hear from Louis Delatraz. It was a wet race after earlier rain had fallen, but the track was pretty much bone dry as the grid formed up ready for 25 minutes of racing. Green flag lap got underway with lots of weaving going on to generate the warmth in the tyres. The race, when it got underway, didn't actually last for all that long, because quite soon into it there was the contact towards the rear of the pack, and that spat off the road the cars of Nikita Mazepin and Luke Chudley, who went a long way off into the barrier and bounced a long way back as well, with lots of suspension damage done to the car. From another angle, have a look to the left, and suddenly Chudley's car disappears across the road off towards the barrier. Mazepin spinning on the track and clouting the barriers as well with the rear of the car. So that brought out the safety car for quite a long period of time. And when the race got back underway, Delatraz was soon able to convert the advantage once more and start to break away from the opposition as the cars worked their way up through Club Corner. Enrique Chavez had a spin and he fell way down the field. He recovered for 17th by the end of the race. So Louis Delatraz it was who took race honours. A very happy man indeed, because that now means that he has won 3 of the 4 rounds of the championship. There were other battles that still raged on though, right the way to the flag, but Delatraz, Olsen and Jurg the top 3, and it is Max Deforny as the winning rookie. Let's hear though from our race winner, Louis Delatraz.
Louis, congratulations, a great weekend. 2 wins, 2 poles, that's how it's supposed to be.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a perfect weekend for us. I think we're back on the championship bit. I'm not sure, but it's mega. Thank you.
You were so dominant. What is in your dominance here, do you think? Is it driving? Is it the car?
The car is really good. I think I'm quite good on this track as well. We're doing a great teamwork, and in the end, it's making it good.
So you go to the Red Bull ring, you must be targeting another pair.
Yeah, for sure. We want to make it the same again. It's not going to be easy. We still have a lot of work to do to win the championship, but I will work hard. I'm motivated.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So a very motivated Louis Delatraz, the race winner. Alain Menu there, fellow countryman, to congratulate him. Alain these days is doing lots of driver coaching, works with Warren Scott's Team BMR Equipe in the British Touring Car Championship. Still feel it's not quite right having Alain not actually racing, but it is good to have him at race meetings. Still think he'd be ideal in Blancpain, wouldn't he? But we've not persuaded him to do that just yet. So in a moment or two, we'll get the winning drivers up onto the podium. And then, as we say, the championship moves on to the Red Bull Ring for 3 races in 2 weeks' time. It's a very busy season for the teams, some of whom operate a dual programme in other Formula Renault categories. Not necessarily with these drivers, but the same type of car. So the officials get the podium ready. And very shortly, we will be able to welcome the drivers up there with Louis Delatraz using all the experience that he has now, Formula Renault 2-litre single-seaters to good effect, taking honours then and coming home as the victor. Silverstone's marshalling team busy in that race in order to sort out battered cars lying by the side of the road. But very shortly, the survivors will be there at the top of the podium. So we have, I think, the drivers ready. Kevin Jörg making his way out onto the podium for the 3rd step. For the 2nd step, Dennis Olsen is there. And Louis Delatraz will be once more on the top step of the podium for a 2nd victory here of the weekend. And also it will be a representative of Josef Kaufmann Racing onto the podium. And when everybody is there, so the national anthem of the winning driver can be played. A great job done by Louis Delatraz, and there he is on the top step of the podium. A very, very good result indeed at Silverstone, because 2 victories out of the 2 races really is absolutely perfect. And he made that mistake by fluffing his start at Monza and then necessitating an extra warming up lap, and he didn't adhere to the regulation and didn't start at the back. Well, all that's behind him. He's responded in fine style here. And Kevin Jörg is there as the 3rd place driver with his trophy. At the other side of the podium, Dennis Olsen receives his now. And Louis Delatraz, once more on the top step, gets his trophy from Cara de Vlaming. And lots of kisses. Better than the trophy, that, Louis. Louis Delatraz then puts on the Michelin winner's cap. And for Josef Kaufmann Racing, there is the team's trophy there as well. One of the top teams in junior single-seater racing. And a successful weekend. So everyone huddles together on the top step of the podium. Photographs taken. Dennis Olsen, I think, will be pleased with that, because it's his best showing of the championship thus far as well. Proof that he too could be a threat as the season moves on. And with a 3-race format next time out, it's going to be essential for people to bank points there. Going to be a very important weekend. It could be that when we next see the field at a Blancpain event at Spa, it's going to be rather different. So the champagne is sprayed, and Louis Delatraz celebrates 2 race victories here at Silverstone. He's a happy man indeed. And in a fortnight's time, a different type of circuit, one with far more elevation and undulation as well, the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Is he going to be able to make it 2 out of 2 there? We shall see. The winning rookie here, Max de Forny, with Dries Van Toor and then Darius Osqui as his 2 runners-up. But we have the Formula Renault race results confirmed as Louis Delatraz the winner from Dennis Olsen and Kevin Jörg third. Ukiya Sasahara fourth, Callan O'Keefe and Harrison Scott rounding out the top 6. Ahead of Josef Zaruba, then Max Deforney and Dries Van Tor, Darius Osqui 10th, and the Brits Alex Gill and Colin Noble in 11th and 12th places. Those with the red background to the numbers are the rookies, including Jahan Daruvala and Ferdinand Habsburg, who were behind Ignacio D'Agosto and Charlie Eastwood, ahead of Enrico Chavez and Robin Hansen. Zachary Clement de Mello was 19th, ahead of Raul Rajmaya, Bartolomei Mielecki, Pontus Friedrichsen, and then David Rischer was 23rd. We lost, of course, Mazepin and Chudley right at the very start of the race with an accident on the way down towards Cops Corner. So there is the car that perhaps everybody wants at the moment, that of Louis Delatraz, the race winner. 2 out of 2 at Silverstone, and a very good weekend indeed for the Swiss driver. Can anybody stop him as the championship moves on then to the Red Bull Ring? We'll find out as the series heads to Austria for the next 3 races. But for now, from Silverstone, where Louis Delatraz has been the dominant driver, it is a circuit that has been very, very good indeed for Louis, and so he will be in fine form, I suspect, as we go to Red Bull Ring. As I say, whether Sasahara is going to be there as well remains to be seen, but we have the championship heading to a very different type of circuit, and it could be that we have some very different results coming back from there in a fortnight's time. Just looking further down at people in that race that perhaps were frustrated. Kevin Jörg on the podium, but could have been a little bit better for him, I think. Harrison Scott did a very good job, and Callan O'Keefe, 2 solid runs over the weekend as well. So the Red Bull Ring will be next as far as the Formula Renault Northern European Cup is concerned, and Louis Delatraz will head there as the man to beat in what has been a very encouraging start to his championship season. From Silverstone, and a great weekend for Delatraz from OJ Borg and David Addison. It's goodbye. We'll see you in Austria.